everyone. I wanted to do a quick little tutorial about one of your SPSS assignments about confidence intervals, since you have to answer a question about confidence intervals and what you get as the results on the SPSS assignment. So I thought I'd explain what that actually is. So imagine we have a graph where the amount of trash litter is on the x-axis and the number of occurrences or the times there was that much trash is on the y-axis, right? So if you plot every time that I counted trash litter, and if I did this an infinite number of times, luckily I did not count trash and litter an infinite number of times, although it kind of felt like it at times, the graph would come close to what we call a normal curve, and it would look like this, right? So imagine that, this graph represents the number of times there was that amount of trash litter, right? So the true population mean, or the true mean amount of trash litter, is going to be right in the middle here, right? So again, this is if I had counted trash and litter an infinite number of times. Luckily, again, I did not do that. So we have to guess what the true population mean is using the mean of my sample, or the mean of what I did actually count. Rather than guessing just one number, we use a range or interval within which we are reasonably or statistically confident the true mean actually falls. So if we want to be 95% confident that the true mean falls within a certain range or interval, we need to kind of have a certain distance, right? Or a certain amount between the upper and lower bound, right? What's SPSS calls the upper and lower bound. So if you look at the SPSS output, there'll be a number for the upper bound and the number for the lower bound within the 95% confidence interval. But if we want to be 99% confident, we would have to expand that range or interval in order to encompass more numbers, because in order to be 99% confident, right, that's almost 100% confident, we want to gather up more of the options, right? So we would need to increase the upper bound and decrease the lower bound in order to increase our confidence that the true mean actually falls within that range or that interval. So remember, we don't know the true population mean. We're guessing based on the information I actually gathered. And so if you look at the actual numbers that came from the SPSS output, you have the 95% confidence interval lower bound is 11.17, and the 95% confidence interval upper bound is 12.37. But now if we want to increase our confidence that we're actually guessing the true population mean, we need to widen that range or widen that interval. So for the 99% confidence interval, the lower bound is 10.98 and the upper bound is 12.56. So what do you see happening with the range or interval in order to go from a 95% confidence interval or 95% confidence or to a 99% confidence? What happens to that interval or range?